Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw some of that in the video, but man, it's windy out here today. It's so freaking windy. The branches and trees and everything is just blowing around out here. You can't tell from the field out here, but you can tell by the clouds that are up there. We have some serious clouds up there right now. This is like the only spot on the radar that had an opening for me to fly today. Everything, Portland, Vancouver, everywhere is just covered in rain, and there's just standing water all over the roads. And this is our only chance, guys. All right, guys, welcome to today's review. This is the Eachine Cvatar HD version, and I have the 6S version from Eachine, which is super awesome. You can change the camera tilt on here a lot to get a lot faster, more freestyle capable quad. Now, the good news about this is that I've already been flying it. Today is one of those days where I really should not have my goggles wet outside and my Tango too, but you know what? I have to fly this for you guys. I took one flight, and after that started sprinkling a little bit, and it's still pretty wet out here, but we're gonna go ahead and do the flight test anyway. And I really want you guys to see what this little guy flies like, because it's actually a lot of fun to fly, and some of the stuff I got away with, I can't believe it. I actually crashed and flew under a fence and back out from under a fence on the other side and kept flying. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and strap on 6S battery on here with the air module recording, and we'll do some flying. Here we go. What? Did you guys just see that? Is it my imagination, or did I just kind of crash and fly under a fence, back out the other side, and we continued on with the flight test? What is going on? That is the craziest thing I've seen on the channel today. All right, guys, we're all done with the flight test now, and here it is, the HD version of the Cvatar. I have my DJI goggles on. We're recording in 50 megabit. I was able to get out there and fly way out into the field over the marsh a little bit for you guys, hoping that I didn't fail safe. Of course, I'm not going to, because I have my Tango 2 and the Nano Crossfire on the back right here with my Immortal T. So I really wasn't too worried about that. We're also able to get way across the golf course over there. It's a disc golf course, and on the other side, around some really thick 40 to 50 to 60 foot trees back there, in between myself and the TBS Tango. The Nano did not drop us on the ground, which is really, really outstanding. I kind of knew that it wouldn't, and I kind of wanted to fly behind this house over here and just really test out the penetration of the Tango 2 and the Nano, but I think it did a pretty good job. The wind, again, be a little bit easygoing on the wind on this one, because with the wind pushing on that flight controller, you know that the quad's going to get a little bit of jitter, and it was even flying kind of sideways down this little dirt road over here and fighting the wind the whole way. So I have to say, the tune on here on a regular day, you still come home with some fantastic video, especially if you want to put a GoPro on the front. So plenty of power on 6S, and I loved the throttle punch out on 6S, and that gets it into the realm of having duality with cinema capability and some pretty extreme punch outs for freestyle. So yeah, you might have the best of both worlds with the HD version of the Cvatar, I'm happy to say. But let's go ahead now back into the studio. Let's put this one on the bench, and let me show you what's on board the Cvatar HD version from Eachine. Full DJI air module, TBS, all the bells and whistles, the best of both worlds. Here we go. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and take the HD version out of the box. Let me show you what comes in the box. We'll talk about the specs, and there is also an analog version of this for guys who have analog FPV goggles. The analog FPV version is around $189, and I did a full review on that one before, so you should definitely go back and check that out if you're interested to see about the specs on that one. Today it's all about the HD version, and that one comes in at around $345. It does have 2-star reviews at this point, 5-star reviews to be exact. But let's go ahead now. Let's pull this baby out of the box and check it out. Now everything's out of the box. What you get in this box is actually pretty decent. We have some stickers, we have a wiring diagram for the flight controller and ESC combo, as well as different types of receivers that you might like to wire up. I was able to just go ahead and bind up to my Tango 2 because I have the Nano from TBS. Also, you get 2 different style camera mounts on here, which is kind of cool. This is sort of a what I call the couch type of camera mount, and they give you 2 different size straps as well. So you get a longer strap and a shorter strap. So depending on how big your action cam is, you can run a strap through this and mount up most any action cam, including GoPro on the front. So those just go right underneath these 4 screws right here, and you're good to go there. You also get a GoPro style mount for whatever type of GoPro mount you have. If you have the cage for your GoPro, which I do have, it'll just mount right to here, and then you can do some super hyper smooth style cinema stuff. You also get a set of these ducted 75mm gem fan props, and these are a little more aggressive, honestly, than what you need for this quad. I feel like the better choice would be the 3-blade prop, which I'm going to link down below. You guys get a better flight, and it'll just fly a little better. This one, I think, was grabbing the wind a lot that day for high wind situations. This is a bad choice for a high wind day, so that really affected our video a lot, but it didn't bring down the fun factor for my video, because it was quite challenging to fly this in all that wind. You also get an extra duct in here, which this is nice. Now, first thing that I noticed about this version of it is that this is all molded plastic. It is not TPU, so this is pretty nice. This feels a lot nicer than the 3D printed ducts, especially PLA. So this is going to be a lot more durable for you guys. And you also get a 90-degree USB port for putting into Betaflight to be able to go right down in there to be able to connect to your flight controller. So the quad itself, it's actually flying with an F722 flight controller on here, so it is a very smooth and really nicely tuned flight controller. I think that today, take it with a grain of salt in this review. The twitch that you were seeing was this flight controller reacting to wind, high wind, and ducks. Never a good combination situation in this instance. So go back and watch the original review that I did if you want to see some super ultra smooth flying for the Cvatar. That review is fantastic for the analog version. This week has been just nothing but rain all week long, and yesterday I actually said screw it. I saw a kind of a tiny little spot on the radar right near the field where I like to fly at, and I took off in the van for you guys, and I tried to get that like 10-minute window just to get a couple flights in, to be able to finish this review up, because I was able to fly it before, but I hadn't got any good video with it, and yesterday was just the last straw. So I was able to get that done for you and have a lot of fun with it. You can fly this two different ways. If you're thinking about starting out, if you're a beginner, say this is your second quad past something like the Emax Tiny Hawk Ready to Fly kit, this is a lot of fun. It is a little bit noisy, but it's not noisy enough that everyone around you is going, oh my god. You know, it's not quite as noisy as like a 5-inch race quad. So and you can slow this down quite a bit. You can turn the camera angle down like this and go way slow through some of the gaps and explore through the tree canopy if you want to slow things way down. As a beginner, start out with your camera low like this and crank it up as you want more speed. So you can bring it up to about 35 degrees there. And second tip for new guys, again, is that if you want to start out with this again as your second quad, you want to start out on a 4S battery, you can actually fly this on 4S 1550, and you're going to get in upwards of like 8 minutes flight time if you're cruising. So this is really, really good. The second option is obviously the 6S option, and they do have a BEC here, rate voltage regulator, in between the air unit and the flight controller that's powering this. You cannot fly this air unit on a 6S battery directly from direct voltage. It'll fry it. I believe the Cadex Vista will handle 5 and 6S, but this voltage range on this one is lower. So you also have SD card support right on the very top right here. You have a nice TPU mount above this module. You can record 1080p at, I believe it was 30 frames per second. It might be 60. You have MMCX connectors coming back, and they're tucked in neatly under here, all ready to go with your DJI antennas coming out the top with this TPU mount as well. I've got two other posts coming out the back here that are ready for like an XM Plus type setup. You can see there's nothing in there right now, so there's no receiver antennas going up into those because I have the Immortal T mounted back here. So that's two different types of antenna mount options you have on this quad, which is cool. And you have to register this air module with DJI. So first thing you're going to do, when you get it, bind it up to your goggles and your transmitter, and then go ahead and update. And for some reason I couldn't get this air module to load into the DJI assistant, FPV assistant, until I had bound it up to my goggles and the transmitter. That was kind of strange. But inside here, in between these two layers of carbon, we have 3mm carbon. We have 35 amp ESCs with something called the EVA pipeline, which sounds cool. 1507 2400 kV motors, and those are the lower kV motors to be able to handle the 6S setup here. I don't know if you guys can see that there, but there we go. 1507 2400 kV running on 35 amp ESCs. You also got these TPU bumpers down bottom, which is super cool. Those really nice for landing on concrete so you don't mash up your frame. It also gives you some extra durability for crashing. You see a little bit of dirt there from one of my probably when I went under the fence and flew out from under a fence. Couldn't even see anything behind that fence, and somehow I made it out. You can also take off this foam, guys, if you want it to be more aerobatic and you want it to be a freestyle beast. This quad will freestyle, and it will also cinema, so it kind of has some great duality to it. So it'll do the best of both worlds if you want it to. But again, it does have that 20 by 20 stack. My 3M sticky tape there was my sticky mat for my battery was already there. I'd suggest taking that off and using 2-inch Velcro right here. It will really save your battery in a good crash. A lot of times these just don't hold and they get pulled. You also want to take a zip tie here and zip tie this to the frame. You don't want your battery ejecting and then pulling on this because it could ruin your ESCs. So one major thing to think about there. But they've got my original review as well for the analog version on the Banggood website. If you wanted to watch that one, you pull that up, or on my channel. But so far, I gotta say that the HD version was super fun, impressive, and just another solid Cinewhoop out there for release, because it's so fun to take one quad like this out and just bash it around. It's like a basher. If it was a monster truck, it would have huge ass wheels on it, because you can drive this thing into trees and bounce off things and still make it through the craziest gaps. It has a really low profile as well, so if you're trying to skirt through something like under a fence, it will actually do it. If I'd have had the GoPro up there, it might not have made it, but yeah, we were lucky to keep flying on that one. And I was also impressed with the penetration and the range of the Nano. The TBS Nano is really the tops for receiver range right now. This will get you out there for miles and miles, and through those thickest tree canopies, those 80-foot trees, the evergreens, I had no problem swinging through there, and it never fail-safed on me. So yeah, this is like the ultimate setup for a Cinewhoop right now. TBS Nano receiver, DJI gear on here with the DVR, which I showed you in this review. No GoPro video on this one, just not to smooth everything out for you. But if you want to make cinema super ultra smooth, this quad will do it with a GoPro and some hyper smooth, and you'll come back with some fantastic video. So this is great for guys that have DJI goggles. If you already have DJI goggles, pick this one up. You can grab one at the link below, guys. And this one is a good one. 2 thumbs up from me. Even though it was the craziest, windiest day ever, I had a ton of fun with this Cvatar HD edition. So glad to see this one finally come in, because I really do like the Cvatar series. And we got an F7 on board, guys. Super nice flight controller. Let's go. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Please do subscribe on the channel, and I will bring you more FPV fun, action, and reviews right here. Also, if you want to, absolutely bless me and check out my Patreon link down below, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys.